You mistake the echo for a voice, don't you?
You hear that hollow reverberation in the chambers of your heart, and you call it love. You call it passion. You call it a connection so deep it must be fate. You are a fool. What you hear is the sound of your own emptiness, the hungry ghost of your unlived life, finally given a shape and a name by a master puppeteer. You call it love. I call it the sound of your own shadow, starved and screaming, finally finding a mouth that promises to feed it poison. You think this is a tragedy that has befallen you, a cruel twist of circumstance. You think you are a victim, caught in the web of a malevolent spider. You are wrong. You are not a victim. You are a volunteer. You are not trapped. You are kneeling. The cost of this arrangement isn't the argument last night or the silent treatment this morning. The cost isn't the tears you cry into your pillow, a pathetic saltwater sacrament to a false god. The true cost is the quiet, methodical murder of your own soul, a vivisection you consent to every single day. It's the slow, steady erosion of your own psychic bedrock, performed not by them, but by your own trembling, complicit hands. You are the architect of your own ruin, and you survey the wreckage and call it a home. You are not being haunted. You are offering up your spirit as a haunted house for a phantom to inhabit, simply because you are too terrified to live in it alone.
This sickness has a name, and it is not theirs. It is yours.
What I once called the shadow, that vast, untamed wilderness within you, the repository of everything you deny, everything you fear, everything you secretly are, you now call your baggage. You call it your triggers. You call it past trauma. You use these pathetic, neutered, clinical terms to domesticate the dragon that lives in your cellar. You shrink the Leviathan into a lizard and wonder why your house feels so unstable, why the foundations tremble. You believe that by giving your darkness a small, manageable name, you have conquered it. You have done nothing of the sort. You have merely starved it. And a starved shadow does not die. It grows cunning. It waits. It learns the shape of your specific hunger, the precise frequency of your deepest need. And then, one day, a person appears, a person who shines with a light that seems almost holy, a person who sees you, who truly sees you, you think. They see the gold you thought was buried forever. They praise the poetry you were too ashamed to speak. They finish your sentences. They mirror your soul. And you fall, not in love, but in a state of delirious, grateful worship. You fool. You absolute, beautiful fool. You are not seeing another person. You are seeing your own projected, unowned, shimmering potential, worn like a mask by a predator. They are not a soulmate. They are a mirror, a black mirror, polished to perfection, showing you everything you desperately wish you were. And they do it so you will give them everything you are. You claim you want authenticity. You preach vulnerability. You post infographics about setting boundaries while you let a phantom rewrite the deed to your very consciousness. You mistake their intense, focused, predatory data mining for profound intimacy. They study you like a general studies a battlefield, and you call it being cherished. You want tricks. You want a list, a tidy little article with 7 warning signs. You want me to tell you what a narcissist does to you. You want me to say, be on guard, watch out for these tricks. Someone even had the audacity to whisper this to me across the wires of your age, a desperate, shallow plea. Forget the ancient stories, they beg. Today's man needs to learn something practical. You think this is about dating? You think this is a new affliction of your digital age, your fleeting romances, your disposable connections? You want to learn something, but you refuse the lesson. This is not about their tricks. It is about your gaping, cavernous vulnerability to them. The tricks only work because you have a space inside you perfectly shaped for them to fit. The key only turns because you built the lock. You want to learn? Then learn this. The oldest story is the only story. The story of the void that seeks a form, and the form that seeks a void to command. You are the void. They are the form. And you have been dancing this dance since the first human soul looked at its reflection in the water and fell in love with a fantasy, drowning in the process. You want to skip the myths? You are living one. You are Persephone, willingly walking into the underworld because Hades told you that you were the only flower he had ever seen. And so begins the test. The second act of this grand, grotesque theater you call your life. The test is not whether you can fix them. The test is not whether you can endure the storm. The test is the storm itself, and its only purpose is to see what you are made of. Your latest collapse, that gut-wrenching, soul-flaying discard, where the mirror was suddenly snatched away and you were left staring into the abyss? That was not bad luck. It was not a tragedy. It was a mercy. It was a diagnosis. It was the universe, in its terrible, roaring compassion, finally holding up a mirror to the wasteland you have allowed your inner world to become. That agony you feel is not the pain of their absence. It is the pain of your own presence, finally unanesthetized, flooding back into a body that has forgotten how to house a soul. The shattering is the point. The fire is the crucible. You believed their manufactured light was the sun, and when they switched it off, you were plunged into a darkness you refused to acknowledge was your own. You see failure, you see rejection, you see proof of your own unworthiness. I see an opportunity, a brutal, bloody, beautiful opportunity. Every lie they told you was built upon a lie you told yourself first. Every manipulation they deployed was a weapon you handed to them. They said you were too sensitive. It's because you refused to own the profound power of your own feeling, and so you let them define it as a flaw. They called you crazy. It's because you denied the wisdom of your own intuition, that faint primal scream from your gut that you silenced with rationalizations, and so you allowed them to pathologize your sanity. They isolated you from your friends, from your family. It's because you were already isolated from yourself, the core of your being, and they simply externalized that inner exile. This ordeal, this crucifixion on the cross of another's ego, is not your punishment. It is your revelation. It is the alchemical fire that burns away the dross. It is designed to burn your life to the ground so that you can see, for the first time, the scorched earth where you were meant to have planted a garden. It reveals the rot you have been cultivating with your fears, your dependencies, your refusal to stand on your own two psychic feet. Do not curse the fire. The fire is honest. The fire is pure. Curse the cowardice that made you so flammable. So you want the tools for survival? You want the alchemy? You want the secret to navigating this wasteland? It is not a map. It is a mirror. It is not a weapon to use on them. It is a scalpel to use on yourself. When I spoke of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole, of integrating the conscious and the unconscious, of birthing the self from the chaos of the psyche, I was not describing a pleasant journey of self-discovery. I was describing a war, a brutal internal civil war. And the narcissist is the ultimate recruiting sergeant for the enemy faction. They offer you a shortcut to wholeness. They say, "You don't need to do the work, just merge with me. My ego is big enough for both of us. My light will be your light." It is the most seductive lie ever told. The alchemy, then, is rejection. Not just the rejection of them, but the rejection of that promise. The survival gear is forged in the fires of that rejection. First, you must reclaim your projections. Every beautiful quality you saw in them, their strength, their brilliance, their certainty, their magic, you must recognize as a disowned part of yourself, a golden piece of your own soul that you hung on their vapid frame because you were too afraid to wear it yourself. You must perform a violent, sacred theft. You must steal yourself back. You must look at the memory of their manufactured charm and say, "That was not you, that was me. That was my light which you borrowed. That was my depth which you mimicked. The bill for that rental is now due, and the payment is your permanent absence from my reality." Second, you must befriend your own monster. You must go down into the cellar you have so long ignored. You must turn and face your shadow, not your baggage, your shadow. The seething, snarling, terrified, and powerful creature within. The part of you that is needy. The part that is secretly arrogant. The part that is terrified of being abandoned. The part that would rather be a slave to a beautiful tyrant than be the king of a lonely kingdom. You must look it in the eye and not flinch. You must feed it, not with the validation of others, but with your own acceptance. When I spoke of integrating the shadow, I wasn't offering you a calming cup of tea and a journal prompt. I was handing you a shovel and telling you to dig your own grave, to lie down in it, to face your mortality and your monstrosity, and to be reborn from that soil. The narcissist was able to command your shadow because you refused to. Take command. It is your dragon. It will either burn you alive or it will become the source of your fire. The choice is yours. Third, you must embrace the sacred wound, the hollow place, the void they created. Do not seek to fill it. Not with another person, not with work, not with distraction, not with noise. That void is now the most holy place in your entire psyche. It is the space where the self can finally be born. Your addiction was to filling the void. Your healing is in learning to bear its sacred emptiness. That emptiness is not a lack. It is a potential. It is the silent, fertile darkness from which all true creation springs. You must learn to sit in that room alone and find that the silence is not silence at all, but the quiet, steady hum of your own returning soul. This is the work. It is not easy. It is not kind. It is the work of a lifetime, compressed into a single, agonizing trial by fire. You wanted to learn something? This is the curriculum. Your pain is the textbook. Stop. Stop scrolling. Stop thinking. Stop analyzing. Stop trying to piece together the timeline of their lies. Stop replaying the conversations. Stop trying to understand the mind of a ghost. Put your hand on your chest, right now. Feel the beat of your own heart. Feel the rise and fall of your own breath. Now feel underneath that. Feel for the hollow ache, the cold spot, the place where you carved out a space for them and made it an altar. Feel that cold, empty throne inside you. That is the wound you are keeping open. That is the vacuum you are perpetuating with your focus, with your memory, with your grief. It is not their ghost that haunts you. It is the space you keep swept clean for it, waiting for its return. Feel it. Feel its terrible, yawning emptiness. That is the ground zero of your becoming. Do not run from it. Continue this charade, this pantomime of misunderstood victimhood, and you will not die a martyr. You will evaporate. You will become a cautionary tale whispered by ghosts, a footnote in someone else's psychodrama. Your epitaph will not be beloved. It will be absent. Continue to kneel at that empty altar, and the fate I foresaw becomes your reality. Here lies a ghost who mistook the rattling of his own chains for a love song. You will have traded the terrifying, magnificent chaos of becoming a god for the neat, orderly prison of being an echo. It is the ultimate act of spiritual suicide, a death by 1,000 gentle concessions. Your rebellion does not begin when you block their number. It does not begin with a dramatic speech they will never hear. It begins in the suffocating, terrifying silence of this very moment. Before this screen dims, before you distract yourself with the next dose of digital noise, I command you to perform one act of pure, terrifying honesty. Find a piece of paper or a silent corner of your own mind and ask yourself the one question you have spent a lifetime, and especially this relationship, running from. What part of me needed this illusion to be true? Do not ask why they lied. Ask why you needed the lie. Let the question hang there, shimmering with its own terrible power. Do not rush to answer it. Let it sit with you. Let it poison your comfortable narratives. Let it burn away your self-pity. Let that question be the first stone you lay for a new foundation, a foundation built not on fantasy, but on the brutal, bedrock truth of your own complicity. That is your first act of war. That is the beginning of your light. Now begin.